Hello everyone, we are Tran Thi Mai and Nguyen Huong Anh from Hoa Sen University. We are glad to be here to present to you our research called Students' Perceptions of Social Presence in a Blended Learning Environment. Our presentation includes 6 parts. The first part would be introduction. The second one will go through the literature review together. Number 3 would be the research method. And then we will go to the data analysis and discussion. Number 5 would be some conclusion and implications. And number 6 is the references that we use for our research.
Starting with the background information about the research. With the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic, more and more universities in Vietnam have implemented blended learning. As a result, there's a real demand to understand and construct a successful blended learning model, especially in higher education in Vietnam, and a widely accepted framework of Garrison, Anderson, and Archer in 2000 community of inquiry suggests 3 interwoven components of effective blended learning, which are social presence, teaching presence, and cognitive presence. Due to its scope and scale, with the main focus on social presence, our research is aimed at exploring social presence and students' perceptions of social presence. With that aim in mind, we would like to answer 2 research questions. 1. How do the students at Hoa Sen University perceive social presence in their blended learning course? And 2. What elements do the students at Hoa Sen University consider most and least important in constructing social presence in blended learning? Now Ms. Mai will continue with a brief review of relevant articles and other works related to our research area.
Now we will go through the literature review. As you may know, there are a lot of definitions of blended learning, but in its common concept, blended learning is the combination of traditional face-to-face and online learning. This is by Graham in 2013. What about social presence? Social presence, according to Garrison in his book in 2009, is the ability of participants to identify with the community, for example, a learning course, communicate purposefully in a trusting environment, and develop interpersonal relationships while protecting their individual personalities. In other words, social presence is how a person portrays himself, be aware of other people, and construct interpersonal communications with other people in a computer-based or a face-to-face learning environment. So what are some roles of social presence? According to Tu and McIsaac in 2002, a high level of social presence can raise the level of interaction, and it can also have an impact on learners' performance and satisfaction with the instructor. This is by Richardson and Swan in their research in 2003, because it can reduce the distance and serve as a platform for better communication between teacher and student, as well as student and student interaction in higher education. This is by Joseph and Coda Bandello in 2009. Also, according to these 2 researchers, social presence can improve the performance of the students. And similarly, Piciano in 2002 found a link between social presence and the writing performance of the students.
Well, according to Garrison, Anderson, and Archer in 2000, there are 3 indicators of social presence involving, first, affective expression, meaning the expressions of emotions. Second, open communication, which occurs when a member of a learning community acknowledges other members' presence and attends respectfully to their comments and contributions. And third, group cohesion, involving activities to maintain a sense of group engagement or sense of belonging to the group. Accordingly, this research employed and synthesized 11 techniques indicating the three elements above from Argon 2003, Lowenthal and Dunlap 2018, and Voyen, Cleveland Innes, and Garrison 2013. The first technique refers to the teacher sending an email before the first class meeting to introduce the course and welcome students. Next, the orientation section is the first meeting in which information about the course objectives, assessment, and expectations is introduced to students. Technique number 3 involves the teacher giving frequent and effective feedback, for example, in speaking and writing activities or in responding to students' emails and messages, which is necessary to increase students' interactions. In addition, the teacher being friendly and humorous will engage students to be a part of the class as well. Technique number 5 refers to having a profile picture and information on learning, which is the technique that will make other class members feel that the student is real. Next, ice-breaking activities in the first class meeting are also crucial to establish the relationship with other class members. Technique number 7 includes taking part in academic forum discussions on learning, since this will make the students feel as a part of the group as well. The next one will be group projects. At Hoa San University, they usually last from 5 to 9 weeks, which is a very great opportunity to strengthen the bond among team members. Pair and group work will also be very common activities to increase social presence among participants. Technique number 10 presents us with non-academic forums and social networking platforms like Zalo or Facebook, which provide another effective and interesting means of communication among learners. And the last technique, which is about peer feedback. This one can improve interaction between partners. The upcoming part deals with research methods. To find out the answers for the 2 research questions, we employed a combination of a survey questionnaire with 3 sets of questions, including 17 Likert type items, and follow-up interviews with volunteers from each class. The participants were 132 students studying English for International Communication 4 at Hoa San University. There were 82 females and 50 male counterparts. The blended course in this research included 8 weeks of full online learning and 5 weeks of face-to-face learning. The online component was designed on Moodle as a learning management system, LMS, which is called learning at Hoa San University. Synchronous class meetings during COVID-19 pandemic were run on Google Meet and Big Blue Button. For data collection, the survey questionnaire was printed out and distributed to students to fill in, and the direct interviews were recorded by recorder and cell phone for later analysis. Let's take a look at our survey questionnaire. As you can see here, question number 1 evaluated the effectiveness of some activities from the teachers to improve social presence, with the Likert scale ranging from 1, strongly disagree, to 5, strongly agree. Now Ms. Mai will go through the first part of data analysis.
Now, moving on to the analysis of data. The first research question, we want to examine the students' perception of social presence. So we gave them this first set of Likert type items, as you can see in the table. So there are 8 of them. And we use median, in this case, not mean, to check the response tendency. Half of the items were agreed and half of the items were strongly agreed by the student. Now we will go through each of them one by one. Firstly, as for the interaction in a blended learning environment compared to a face-to-face learning environment, 46% of the students thought that blended learning slightly increased the interaction between their teacher and them. In the interview, they explained that the online component makes them feel less stressed to express the idea because they felt less shy, or they didn't have to show their face, or they were not afraid to make mistakes. However, 28% of the students thought that the interaction level in blended learning actually remained the same compared to a traditional face-to-face class. Why? Some students explained that the interaction actually depends a lot on students' characters. So while some students are more confident in an online environment, the others may feel more active in a face-to-face learning environment. And for some students, they say the same in both learning modes. As for the techniques that the teacher used to enhance social presence, firstly, students were strongly satisfied when they received the email from the teacher before the first class, because according to them, the email gave them a clear vision of who they are in the class, what responsibilities they should take, and make them feel already a part of the class, or help them be more ready and well prepared for the course. Secondly, some other students highlighted the role of the orientation session because this session gave them the clues about their teachers' teaching styles or personalities, as well as some clues about the class members' personalities. Number 3, talking about the prompt email response from the teacher to the student's message and emails. Most of the students highly valued that fact. And some of them said that email was appropriate for academic environment, whereas some students suggested that beside email, a teacher could use Facebook or Zalo to communicate with the students. And fourthly, 78 students among the total number of students consider that the feedback from their teacher was remarkably effective in improving their writing and speaking skills. One student in the interview explained that the feedback from the teacher reveals that the teacher was very attentive and very caring, and other students added that her writing skills can improve a lot due to the personalized, private, and detailed feedback from her teacher. And the last technique from the teacher was the friendliness and humor of the teacher himself or herself. Most of the students, interestingly, agree that this was very important in connecting the class together, because when a teacher is funny, humorous, and close enough, it can clear the no factors and encourage the student to take part in all the class activities. And students added that teacher can show their friendliness and closeness by smiling and addressing them by names, or telling jokes, or giving them compliments more often.
Okay, let's observe factors from students that enhance social presence on the table. From factor number 1 to factor number 6, most participants showed their agreement with the median of 4, especially they strongly agreed with item number 7, peer and group work, whereas most of them stayed neutral with the median of 3 when it comes to peer feedback. Let's look at the further details. First, ice-breaking activities was considered necessary to establish the relationship with other class members, since 78% of the participants supported this idea. Some said those activities helped them remember each other's names and felt more relaxed and connected to the others. Second, most of them had the same opinion on the benefits of having a short bio on the web page because this would make them feel that person was real, and then they would feel safer conversing with that member online. For factors number 3 and 4, they reported that they frequently participated in forum discussions and valued the sense of belonging when joining these discussions. Some added that forums was a good way to enhance interactions when they could easily share their ideas without fear of making mistakes or become more active and more confident. Next, they also welcomed non-academic forums and social networking platforms such as Facebook, Zello to connect more with other class members. The students also showed their great support on group projects in increasing the connection among team members since they could interact with and know each other better. Nevertheless, they suggested that the topics of the project should be more appealing. A large number of students, which is 94 out of 132 participants, did cherish and prefer working in pairs or teams. I interact more when paired with my classmates and feel more connected while taking part in many different activities, or I am willing to join a different group every day. Those above positive answers did signify the importance of pair and group work to increase students' interaction and collaboration. Finally, most participants stayed neutral on peer feedback in improving their interaction. Some supporters thought it would be easier to give straightforward comments between peers. In contrast, others reported that there would be some problems related to different levels of students and invalid comments due to the lack of knowledge and skills.
Moving on to the second research question, when we asked the student to rank the 11 factors in constructing social presence to find out the most and least important factors, this is the result. As you can see, the top 3 important factors according to the students are number 1, the teacher's friendliness and humor, number 2, the teacher's prompt and effective feedback, and number 3, pair and group work. Whereas the last 3 important factors according to them are users' profile picture and information on e-learning, then forum discussions, and lastly, peer feedback.
Based on the findings, we can draw a conclusion that most of the students strongly appreciated the salience of social presence in increasing interaction among members and improving writing and speaking skills, and also strengthening cooperative activities. Last but not least, boosting their confidence. However, there was no big distinction in social presence between a blended learning course and a traditional class. Among the 11 factors that affect social presence, the students ranked the top 3 important factors, including the teacher's closeness and humor, and his or her feedback, and peer and group work. We also have the list 3 important ones, which are short bio and profile picture, forum discussions, and peer feedback. Now, Ms. Mai will draw some implications from our specific research.
So these are some implications for the students. Firstly, students should fully grab the opportunities that the online components such as the MLS or the conference platforms can offer so that they can maximize their interaction experience. Secondly, the students should be aware of their own importance and their own responsibilities in improving social presence and should not place the central role in the hand of their teacher. As for us teachers, we should always bear in mind the techniques before we design and when we deliver the blended learning course so that we can fully take the advantage of the blended learning course. And second, We should be friendlier, more attentive, and supportive toward our students so that they can feel more comfortable and opened so they can communicate and engage more in the course. And when the students are reluctant in participating in some certain activities, it is time for us to reconsider the real effectiveness of some instructional design elements. And it means that the students are not accustomed to the activities. So it is essential for us as teachers to give them clear guidance, instructions, and set out etiquettes and leave them some time so that they can get used to the activities. For future research, we hope that there will be more valid, widely accepted model for the questionnaire to be based on, and the future research will cover a bigger number of students in a number of universities in Vietnam so that we can draw a more general and bigger picture of how social presence is perceived not only by students but also by teachers and the administrators so that we can harness the full potentials of social presence in a blended learning environment. Finally, these are some references that we use for our research. This is also the end of our presentation. We thank you a lot for your attention, and we welcome all the questions from you, so just feel free to leave your questions in the Q&A session. Goodbye and have a good day.